Welcome to As Fresh as It Gets, all about San Mateo County's local produce, local wines, local floral crops. And I'm joined today by Louie Figone, the owner and operator of Figone Nursery. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You had a busy day, I know. Louie, before we talk about your industry and the floral crops, I thought we'd take a look at a visit we made to Blue House Farm.
Okay.
Let's take a look. I'm LeClair, and we're here today to tell you about San Mateo County's freshest local produce that's as fresh as it gets. I'm joined here today by Ryan Casey, owner of Blue House Farm, and of course, Lucky. Ryan, tell us a little bit about how you started the farm, when that was.
Sure. I started the farm 8 years ago with a partner, and we started quite small, and we focus on freshly picked organic produce grown here in Pescadero on the coast. So for us, that means a lot of cool season vegetables, and we mostly market locally as best we can. So most of our produce is sold within 100 miles of where it's grown.
Now as we set up, walked by multiple types of produce. Will you walk us through that? I know it seems like you're growing endless variety here.
Sure, yeah, this is a really neat time of the year because it's mid-April, and there's a lot of leafy greens growing right now: chards, kales, collards, a whole bunch of different types of lettuces. We walked past some green garlic, some really fresh garlic, some spring onions, another fresh onion that we grow. We also walked past the strawberries, which are just starting to pick up speed and produce quite a bit right now. We're standing right in front of some summer squashes that are going to start producing in a couple weeks. It was really quite a nice time of the year right now, and a lot of nice leafy stuff.
Now you mentioned though that you grow year-round, is that right?
Yeah, we grow year-round.
What are your winter vegetables?
The winter vegetables are broccoli, cauliflower, a lot of Brussels sprouts. We do leeks, we do spring onions. We keep all the kales and chards and collards and lettuces going year-round. We do a lot of beets in the winter, carrots, different root crops, radishes, wow, stuff like that. Here in the coast of California, where the weather is so mild, you really can pull off beautiful produce all year.
Now, where can people find these? Is it available at farmers markets? Do you do farmers markets?
Yeah, we do 8 farmers markets, wow, around San Mateo and San Francisco County. Within San Mateo County, we do the San Mateo College Farmers Market. Nice. And we also do a really cool little small farmers market right here in the town of Pescadero. And then we also distribute a lot of our produce through the CSA, our CSA program, which stands for Community Supported Agriculture.
Okay, and how does that work?
So we grow a very wide diversity of crops. What I tell people is if you can grow it in Pescadero, I grow it. So I really try and grow as much as possible. I grow warm season and cold season crops. And we go out every week and we pick about 10 items of whatever is at its peak at the time. And we try and assemble a box about yay big that has a good mix of salad items and cooking items and herbs and fruit. And we put that into a box, and we write a really nice newsletter of what's happening on the farm with recipes and the contents of the box. And then they go out each week to about 20 different what we call drop-off sites around the county, where families and individuals, households come and they pick up their box of vegetables for the week. And it's just a great way of people to learn some new vegetables, to encourage cooking in the kitchen, and also to have a direct connection to a farm.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I know some people have talked about getting involved in a CSA program or signing up for boxes, but they say, oh, I don't want all leeks, or I don't know what to do with it. So you put a variety in and you actually tell people how to prepare it.
We do our best to put a variety in, nice, and to make it useful. We want the box to be useful. We want it to be something people take to their kitchen and they want to use. And then we try and throw about one item every once in a while that might be a little different or new to them, so that it just stretches their cooking abilities just a little bit. And then we try and give them recipes that make that easier. Yeah.
So how do they know when a box is ready? Do you have a predictable day, or how does that work?
Well, it's routine. You sign up, you can sign up just for a trial membership where you just try it out for 4 weeks. And if it's a good fit for you, then you can continue. Or if it's not, then you can go back to shopping at the farmers markets or whatever is a good fit for you. And but a lot of members just sign up for all 30 weeks. It runs from 30 weeks from May through December. And our 2 delivery days are Thursdays and Fridays, so it just depends on where you're at and where that drop-off location is and what day of the week is, but it's
Nice.
routine, yeah.
So did you say everything's organic, or what are your growing policies or procedures that you have here?
Yeah, everything on this farm is certified organic. So we put a lot of energy into our soil, and we add a lot of compost and a lot of really good inputs to our soil to create a thriving, living soil. Mm-hmm. And because our soil is so rich and so good and so full of fertility, we have much healthier plants. They're more immune to pest problems, so we don't see a lot of pest problems on this farm. And they nutritionally are better. They're accessing more minerals and more nutrients, and it makes a vegetable that is going to taste better, it's going to store better, it's going to be better for you, and that's why we do it organically, as well as just really taking care of the land and being good stewards of the earth.
So you seem obviously very passionate about what you do, but what do you love most about what you do? I mean, what is it that keeps you going day to day? It's a tough job.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got into farming because of my interest in plants and working outside, and I love that still. But I've also, in learning to farm, have discovered that I also really love tractors and equipment and tools and stuff like that. Yeah, I just love it to death, and it's just great fun being out here in such a beautiful place, and being so connected to the seasons and to the weather and to what's going on outside, and it's really a special profession to be in right now, to be able to have a combination of work related jobs that brings you outside, connects you to the earth, and also you get to play around with cool equipment, and and I'm a boy. I'm also, I'm not bringing up the office work, but there's also a lot of office work involved with it. But it is yeah.
Do you have any idea of how many pounds of produce you end up harvesting?
That's a hard one to quantify for us, because we market through so many different avenues. It's actually a really tricky one for us. So I don't have a very great answer, but we feed hundreds of families through the CSA box. We're going to 8 farmers markets a week. Right. We're selling to small distributors and direct to stores. So it's a lot of food being grown. Yeah.
And what's your top crop of all of them? What's your most prolific or your biggest?
Our 2 biggest crops are strawberries. We grow a couple varieties of just really fantastic strawberries with just amazing flavor, and then our tomatoes are our other second best one.
So one quick final question. It's called Blue House Farm, but I don't see a blue house. What's that all about?
A couple of years ago, I moved from the original ranch. The original ranch had a blue house right in the middle of the farm, and the business came with me to the new ranch, but the house didn't. I joke with everybody that I'm going to eventually build a doghouse for Lucky here, and we're going to paint it blue and stick it right in front. But
perfect. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for letting us out on your property today. It's extraordinarily beautiful, and we really appreciate the work you do.
Great. Thank you for coming out.
Now, we've seen some more traditional produce, but what many people don't realize is that it's our floral and nursery crops that make up more than half of San Mateo County's agricultural production. Right. And you play a major role in that. So will you tell us a little bit about your nursery and what you grow? And
right now our major crops are dahlias, sunflower, cut hydrangeas, ranunculus, scabiosa. We grow Dusty Miller, it's a foliage. We grow Pittosporum, which is a foliage. We're kind of very diverse, but very small too. I started this business in 1967. I immigrated away from my parents, who had a flower growing operation, and I left them and started this one here in '67. And here I am today in 2013, still doing it, and I love what I do.
So you learned it growing up then?
Yes, it was. It's not what I liked. I actually went to school and I have a degree in tool and die. And
well, that's different compared to what you're doing.
But that helped me a lot in the maintenance of the equipment on the farm. So.
Boy, I never even thought about the equipment issue. I was just thinking about perennials versus annuals and what you do. Do you grow them year-round, Louie? Do you have greenhouses? How does it all work?
We do not grow in the greenhouses. Okay. We have greenhouses, but the maintenance on our greenhouses exceeds the profit that we could make out of it. So we abandon the greenhouse operation, grow everything outside.
Wow.
We do grow year-round, but the production is very limited during the wintertime.
Okay. Now you mentioned, and I want you to share this with our viewers, when we were trying to schedule you for today, you were kind enough to work us in. What time did you tell me you got up this morning?
This morning was 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Yes.
And that's because, why are you up at that hour?
Because our sales are at the San Francisco Flower Market, and customers start coming in at 2:30 to 3 a.m. And I was there until a little after 11, and that's why I was a little late for the shoot. And I do this 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And Wednesday and Friday are our bigger sales days, because people are geared more for weekend events.
So how does that work with the San Francisco Flower Mart? Is it a wholesale market and
it's wholesale only, and
right. Okay, so our florists probably buy there then, right?
Right, our local florists. They come from as far as Sacramento. We have them from Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe, North Lake Tahoe, Reno. There's one that comes down from Reno, Modesto, Fresno. They come from all areas, but those people usually come in only once a week.
Okay,
our biggest buyers are from San Francisco area, Burlingame, who are doing events and planning.
So you mentioned that you were up at 1 a.m., and when I asked you what time you went to bed normally?
9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
3 or 4 hours sleep you get, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you sustain that? How do you keep a schedule like that year-round?
How do I do that? It just happens. I get used to it. If I don't go to market, like if I take a week vacation, I automatically wake up at 2 in the morning, and I think I'm missing something.
So tell us a little bit about, you obviously have a tremendous floral crop. How many bouquets do your workers pick in a day, or how many are picked in a day?
Our major crop is dahlias, and that season's starting right now, and it runs through into December.
Okay.
And all through the summer, we'll cut about 900 bunches a day of the dahlias.
Oh my gosh.
And actually, we're a small operation. We're not big.
And how many flowers in a bunch normally?
There's 7 to 8 flowers, stems
so should we
per
count
bunch.
if it's 7 or 8, so we know if we're getting a good...
7 to 8 stems. We go by stem count, not by flower count.
And then when you bring them to the flower mart, how are they? Are they fastened just?
They're tied in. We tie them with a rubber band, and then we put 10 to a bucket. We have these small buckets that we work with, and we'll sell them 1 bunch, 2 bunches. Sometimes people will buy 40, 50 bunches, and they'll take them in the water.
So what time of day are the flowers cut? You're getting up at 1 o'clock to make it to the market.
We start cutting at 7:30 in the morning. Okay. The workers start in the field at 7:30 and quit at 5.
Wow.
And the men bring them into the barn, put them in water about every 3 hours, so they're not out in the field being dehydrated. And
then they're brought to the market the next morning at the crack of dawn, before the crack of dawn, right?
Yeah, we load the truck in the evening, around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then I take the product in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of flower growing, I'll ask a naive question. Do you actually go out and purchase seeds? Do you get the seeds from your existing flowers? What do you do?
The seeds we buy from commercial seed producers. A lot of the product that we grow is grown from plugs, and they come from companies out of Watsonville or Los Angeles, the greenhouse operations, Salinas, and that's all they do is they grow plugs. We can send our seeds to them, and they will grow them for us in the little plugs.
I see. So in terms of crops doing well here, why do dahlias do so well here?
It's the weather, and our soil is a sandy loam, and I haven't always grown dahlias. I started growing dahlias about 12 years ago, and just as a trial, and they did very well. They like the area, they like the ranch that we have.
Are they the most popular now? Is that?
Or what would you say are the most popular?
Most popular flower? Probably the Gerber daisy.
Oh, yeah.
Is a very popular flower. But dahlias has always been a good wedding flower, and that's what keeps us going, weddings and parties.
So when you learned this business as a child, what were the first lessons you learned, or the things that you've never forgotten about growing them? Anything come to mind? What was your first memory about?
I can, but I can't say it.
What's the first one you can share that you are allowed to share?
I just remember my parents, you know, we worked after school.
Sure.
We worked all through grammar school. I have 2 sisters younger than me, and we all worked on the farm. It was just, it was automatic, and we worked right alongside our parents, so I learned just by watching and doing what he did, what my dad did.
Now, Louie, do you do anything with potted plants as well?
No potted plants.
I never did. All cut flowers?
All cut flowers,
okay.
Yes.
And what type of team do you need? You said this is a slower part of the season as compared to, now we're starting to get busier.
We're starting to gear up, but through the winter we'll run maybe 3 to 4 men, and through the summer we'll run 6 to 7 men.
Wow. Okay.
And I have the same guys that come back every year. They all live on the property, and the ones that do go back home, which are to Mexico,
sure.
They come back to our place. Every April they come back, and December the 1st they go home again.
So do you grow primarily annuals or perennials? Or
I grow both.
You grow both?
Yes.
So how does it work with the perennials? Are they?
Well, we seed those. I take back about the greenhouses. We do use a small section of one of the greenhouses for seedlings, and the only reason we do that is because when we seed direct in the fields, the birds, the quail, come down and take the seedlings out as they're growing as tender shoots. So we grow them in plugs in the greenhouse and then transplant them out when they're about a month old. They're too big for the birds to take then.
Okay. So Louie, what about, I know you sell at the Flower Mart and you sell to florists. Do you sell locally at all in any stands or any?
No,
not at all.
Not.
You just take it all and
we sell them. That's enough. I mean,
I believe it with the hours you're keeping. Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say is your biggest challenge as a grower in the area?
Government regulation.
Of course. Anything in particular, or just in general?
Just in general. Yeah.
Right. And what's your greatest joy in what you do? I can tell you love it. It shows in your face.
You
can tell you love
I have to tell you, when I go to bed at night, I look forward to getting up in the morning. I really do. And my wife asks me, when are you going to retire? I say, never. I says, it's just what I love to do.
Now, does she get up at 1 a.m. as well?
No.
She sleeps until 2:30?
No, she'll stay in bed until 5 or 6, and then she gets up and takes care of the household, and then she works 1 day a week in the office at the nursery.
Well, you're certainly in the business that makes everyone happy. I mean, flowers are the ultimate way to do that, right?
Probably you said one of my biggest joys is our customer base. It's like another family, and it's a very social life at the flower market. It's a happy place to be. And like you said, we have a beautiful product. Who can't like working with flowers?
And how long does it take you to move everything into the mart? I mean, judging by the number of bouquets you're bringing in.
I can unload the truck and have it be set up in about 40 minutes because I can back right into the market.
Back ride meaning?
I can back the truck right into our
and
stall.
Then just offload out the back.
Just offload right out the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything, we just have a few seconds left, anything you'd like to share with people or that people might not know about your business that you'd like to share?
I'd just like everybody to support their local growers.
There you go. I'm with you. Thank you so much, Louie, for being with us today.
Thank you, Ann.
And now we're going to make a switch, and we're going to go to a local winery and make a visit to La Nebbia.
Okay.
I'm Ann LeClair, and we're here today with Kendyl Kellogg, owner of Nebbia Winery in Half Moon Bay. Kendyl, thank you so much for having us over.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to taking you on a tour of our winery.
Thank you. Now, why don't you tell us first, what does Nebbia mean, and why did you name the winery Nebbia?
So Nebbia in Italian, loosely translated, means heavy mist or fog. So if you know much about the Half Moon Bay area, the marine layer that we typically have here lends itself to that sort of a climate. And so that was sort of the inspiration behind it, as well as its Italian roots.
And the former name was?
Obister Winery. Okay. So it was bonded as the Obister Winery back in 1979. And I purchased the winery in 99, 2000 time frame, and then a few years later renamed it, I guess, Nebbia Winery.
Now you have gorgeous gardens, but I don't see any vineyards here, so how does that work?
We source our grapes. We purchase grapes from both the Santa Cruz Mountains, where we are a proud member of, as well as, you know, this location here in San Mateo County provides us access to Napa Valley, Sonoma, you know, Paso Robles, Amador County. So we tend to source from all over the state, but mostly the closer Appalachians as well as Santa Cruz Mountains. Our tasting room is open daily from 10 to 5. So we have a fairly active tourism and foot traffic that heads through the tasting room. So our menu includes up to 9 wines, and so we tend to have wines from out of the area as well as wines from the
But
area.
you actually make it here, do you not? I mean,
Yes.
I've been in your room with the giant barrels,
Yes,
and, right?
yes, so have I.
So what's your particular favorite? Is there a favorite of your customers, or do you have a favorite?
I personally prefer red wines, and I like heavier reds, and so a good Cabernet is one of my favorites. In terms of the wines that we sell, we have a delicious Chardonnay on our tasting menu at the moment, and we have a sparkling wine that we sell here locally that sells at a mind-boggling pace. And so it depends on the customer in terms of their palate, what they like.
Now, one of your most popular events that you do is your self-bottling day, and it's called?
It's called Bottle and Cork Day. It was something that the former owners began back in the early 80s, and it was a way for people to recycle their bottles as well as for them to get rid of any excess production. So approximately once a month, we have a schedule that we stick to for the year. Customers can bring their own clean and empty bottles, or we provide them with bottles, and they bottle their own wine and cork it and label it. We did one last Saturday, and we went through, I think, 600 cases of Zin. So it's a big day, and it's one where people come and enjoy and meet friends here and have a picnic and sort of spend the day.
And how many people would you normally get through for an event like that? How many people come through, would you say, in a day's time?
We, you know, for a Bottle and Cork Day, we would have several hundred people. If you look at our foot traffic through the tasting room, we typically pour anywhere between 100 and 200 tastings a week.
And you also participate in Tour de Fleur, is that right?
We do.
Will you tell us about that event? It's a chamber event, is it not? Half Moon Bay
yes,
Chamber?
Half Moon Bay itself is a beautiful destination and quite a gem of San Mateo County, as you know. And they do a lot of events that are sponsored by the chamber, from Farm Day to Tour de Fleurs, and of course the As Fresh as You Get program. If you look at the Tour de Fleurs, what we started doing was a wine and edible flower pairing.
Nice.
And so to really look at flowers that you can bring in from your garden that would pair nicely with wine, so nasturtiums and borage and certain petals. It's one of those things where the flower lovers enjoy it. The skeptical ones, I think, go for it just because there's a wine tasting involved, but...
So people can find that all on your website, right?
Yes.
On the Nebbia website?
Yes, so we have a website that would include a list of any of our upcoming events. We do a garlic barbecue over the summer. Most of our events try to incorporate some aspect of agriculture and wine. You know, we've strived to create a destination for people to come and enjoy and sit. You can bring your own picnic and enjoy our wine, or we have a facility that provides for that.
Well, Kendyl, thank you so much for having us, and maybe we'll go take a look at the bocce ball courts.
Sounds great.
So Kendyl, here we are on your bocce ball courts. Certainly a unique feature for a winery. How did this come about?
Well, I decided that in addition to the wine tasting, it would be fun to create a venue where people could come and picnic and play bocce ball. It's very Italian, so it fits with Nebbia Winery, doesn't it? Our guests can use it on the weekends. So typically on the weekends, you'll see the courts packed and large families and friends will meet and play bocce ball. In addition, we rent this area out for private events, and so that tends to be something that we use quite actively.
Huh. Now your focus, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think your focus has been so much selling to liquor purveyors or restaurants, has it been?
No, it hasn't. You know, I would call that distribution.
Yes.
When I first bought the winery, it was sold. Everything was sold primarily on site, And I decided to keep that business model. And my vision was to create a destination that featured a lovely garden. As you can tell, I'm a bit passionate about my gardening. But I really wanted a place that people could come and enjoy and sit and participate in the winery from that way, rather than just be familiar with my label and order it in restaurants and, you know, stores and whatnot. A lot of the local restaurants do feature our wines, but it's not because we're real easy to deal with from that perspective.
So they can just bring picnic lunches. People may bring picnic lunches in, but you have a special event called the Garlic Barbecue. Is that?
We do. We've got several different events we do throughout the year. We do a wine and chocolate party in February. We do a garlic barbecue in July. We do music occasionally on the weekends, and so we either have food here that people can purchase for picnics. We do local smoked salmon, local cheeses, etc. So people can buy simple picnic items and enjoy themselves. But we have a lot of people who will come and be prepared to eat and drink and be merry.
And then you have your special mustard, right?
Yes. The former owners were very active in the production of food. And so they started a garlic mustard, which we have continued. It's extremely garlicky.
Yes.
It's delicious. We've won a gold medal in the Napa Valley mustard competition. We've won a couple silvers. I use it to cook with. It's just a really special product. And it was one that I kept named Obister Winery, which was the former owner's name. And it was more of a gesture of all of the things that they had accomplished food-wise. And like you say, it's delicious.
It is delicious. Well, you have a unique venue, and it's a thrill to be here, and I look forward to coming back. Thank you, Kendyl.
Thank you for joining me today, Anne.